Hey, what's up, folks? So I told you guys that I'm a wrestling fan, right? Well, I was. I got into wrestling during the John Cena era. I remember John Cena coming down that tunnel, doing that whole freestyle thing against Kurt Angle. I remember it like it was yesterday. And, as a kid, man, I told you I was my mom's firstborn child. So wrestlers and, this was before cell phones. So, kids' attention spans were just a little bit, sharper, a little bit more sharper than they are the kids today, because a lot of it was imaginary. With Disney and cartoons and stuff like that, kids kind of dwelled in I was born in 93, so you had kind of like a balanced diet, so to speak, of reality and fiction. So right away, man, I was a kid that played with wrestlers. I was very specific on the type of wrestlers that I had. I was almost like a collector, so to speak. And I remember watching, I asked my mom back when ECW One Night Stand was on pay-per-view, and I asked my mom, because back then, those pay-per-views were like $100. And I remember asking my mom, like, hey, Mom, can you, buy this for me? And I knew she would. And she bought the pay-per-view. That was my first time ever, like, waiting for a pay-per-view. Just had the wrestlers and everything, man. I remember it. It was a good time for me at that particular time, as a wrestling fan, and I watched ECW One Night Stand when John Cena was champ, and he came down with his head down. It was very cinematic, as time progressed, I was into the video games. I was into the title belts. I went to Walmart. My mom already knew what the deal was. We go into Walmart, I'm breaking away, going to the toy aisle, going to the magazines and stuff like that. Wrestling actually got me into bodybuilding because I remember Triple H being on the front of a fitness magazine, and I was like, this is weird. Like, okay, let me read into this. And then, of course, they talked about, if you want a body like Triple H and all this other stuff. So the moment I started to get disgusted and uninterested in wrestling when SmackDown was on, I think, Thursday, and Raw was on Monday, and then, of course, they tried to have little shows in between. And I remember, it's nothing that's, supernatural, but I just started seeing right through everything to the point where me and Terrell would watch it, SmackDown on Friday nights. I remember I used to tell him, like, man, I already know you're going, okay, the guy's jumping up on the apron, okay, now he's going to turn his back, and he's going to pin him, and then he's going to get up looking like, what happened? It just kind of got disgusting and very predictable. But I had no problem with, what everybody would say, man, what you like to watch grown men in tights and oil for? It's like, dude, you watch movies not knowing that these are stunt men that are doing these fight scenes and all of this other stuff. Now you got guys like Bruce Lee and all these other guys who actually, not Bruce Lee, Jet Li and Jackie Chan, and these guys that actually, Keanu Reeves, who want to take pride in actually learning their craft of what their character is doing, and they suffer injuries. But for the most part, man, wrestling, that's all it is. It's getting me, and that's what I told you guys, it gave me an understanding of character archetype, knowing that there are, it connected the cabal and the whole Jesuit, Catholic, CIA. It connected all that to me in a sense that there is some type of evil fraction. Not this was without on a spiritual level, but there is a this is how society can work. It's like theoretical, so to speak. So I respected the sport. I loved the sport, and of course. One of the moments for me that did it was I think it was when they was trying to make Roman Reigns some type of the new face, and when he kept pursing his lips, doing this stuff here, and just the big dog, and it was all just corny to me. Dude. Like, you somebody could draw you up. A kid in the back of the class can draw you on a sheet of paper and say, look at this, default wrestler. Long black hair, tattoo on his one, just very, and, Superman punch and all of it. It's just lame. And so Of course, I grew up during the time of when Divas was a thing, and I was such a kid. I was like, oh my God, can we get on with this? Y'all not gonna get butt ass naked, so get off my TV. On a spiritual note, you guys, it was always some type of coincidence where my parents, particularly my stepmother, would walk in the room, right, and see some type of bra and panty match or something, and be like, CJ, what you watching? Giving off the impression that I'm watching something on TV that I'm not supposed to be watching. And even as a kid, I used to tell Terrell, like, of course, that would happen. But anyway, yeah, man, when Roman Reigns, was being pushed in a way that was very forced, it became something to me that was played out. Although I played the video games, and I still am in search of WWE for the Nintendo Switch, I started doing my own thing on the games, ignoring what was going on in real life, because when they allowed Brock Lesnar to defeat Undertaker and break that streak, everybody that know, that to me was like, this is it. This is it. Like, this was the only thing that was kind of holding all these generations together, is this streak. And just to have this happen, even people in live, is like, what in God's name? It was gross. And that kind of did it for me, because I knew Brock Lesnar wasn't going to be a full-time wrestler. Guys like him and Goldberg, playing black trunks and all this stuff, it doesn't work. Stone Cold, he was the only one that could carry that mantle of, I'm in some black trunks, wrestling boots and pads, and I'm going to whoop your ass. Brock Lesnar already knew he wasn't going to be full-time, so that to me was like, wrestling's taking a different direction. Of course, you have all of these guest appearances, people that just won't go away. Wrestling has become something that is a mockery, because even companies like AEW, I remember when I was subscribed to them, because I was just wanting to stay in contact with all wrestling, where I'm looking at the program like, they've clearly just erased any type of moral ethics and said, hey man, if y'all want to be open Satanists, you could be open Satanists. If you want to be a blood drinking demon, you could be a blood drinking demon. If you want to be a tranny, you could be a tranny. We're gonna have women, F5 and grown ass 500-pound men off the top rope and doing all of this crap, especially with Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, and all of this. You're stabbing a guy, and shout out to Jim Cornette and all them, man, because you're stabbing a guy in the head with a fork, and these explosive ring matches. I remember I craved a wrestling game so much that when AEW was on the Switch, didn't even care. It's so Nintendo 64-ish, and it's so just garbage. So I don't want to make this video too long, you guys. I appreciate y'all for watching me. I got a comment video that's coming out about, me just addressing the comments for the first time, right? Like right there. I did read them, but to give y'all a live reaction to them. But yeah, man, I haven't watched wrestling. I remember I experimented during COVID, trying to watch it for 5 minutes, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't. So, of course, with everything in society, it's going to crash, and wrestling will be no more, or it will be turned into something that is, to be honest, hell, they'll just do away with it, say it's too violent. But that's going to be it, guys. Thank y'all for watching.